you by a little research that I did, because I've had athletics in my family, but I now here declare you the greatest athlete to ever sit here in the White House in this seat.
I accept. Probably not true. But put it this way, if you talk about anybody that likes sports better, I can't think who it is. I'm not all that great a performer.
How did you get so interested in sports?
Well, competition from day one, and my parents were athletic, and the schools had good athletic programs, and the Navy believed a lot in fitness, and so I moved right from high school level into the Navy in pre-flight, and it was all athletics, and I've just always been interested in sports, competitive sports, and I always will be till the day I die. And also now we're tying it into national fitness. Arnold Schwarzenegger heading our fitness council, and I think there's a good lesson in fitness for the country. I mean, I think it's important that the nation be fit.
What's interesting about your family, the Kennedys for years were always kind of championed as the family. Everybody's down at Hyannisport taking pictures of all these crazy football games and everybody falling all over each other. Yet your family has had a tremendous sports background, and I wonder if you could talk a little bit, I was talking to your sister about all the games, wall ball and knee ball and step ball and tennis and squash and everything else. If you could just talk a little bit about growing up.
Well, growing up was an athletic family. My dad was a scratch golfer for a while. Scratch, no hand, and he moved up, shot his age just before he died, and so he was quite an example on the golf course. He was also in college a fabulous baseball player, great hitter, unlike his son, and then he was president of the United States Golf Association, so that kept a continued interest there. But he loved all sports. He used to take us when we were little in to see Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and all my heroes playing ball at Yankee Stadium. Then we go over to the Polo Grounds. Went to Evans Field a time or two, not as much. So when we were little, we had it inculcated into us. My mother was the fastest runner of all the mothers, and she was the best pitcher on the mothers' team, and striking out her sons with reckless abandon, and she was a competitor, and we'd get out and hit with us, and we'd come home and say, I was off my game, and she'd say, you don't have a game, you get back and start practicing. And so there was this discipline as well as the sheer enjoyment of sports that and it was competition all the way from knee football upstairs in our upstairs hall where we get down our knees passing with rolled up ball of socks with my brothers and our friends, and we've just always been that way. And so we like to watch. We go in and watch the hockey games, see the Rangers playing in the old Madison Square Garden, saw the Boston Bruins play, and I've just always loved sports, and I can't separate it from, any one incident. When I was little, I participated. I played on my college soccer team and my college baseball teams, and played on the basketball varsity at school, and it just always came naturally to me.
Well, you see it now as a president, of course, it's the most pressurized job in the world, and yet you're out jogging. I see you playing golf, I see you fishing, tennis, skeet shooting. You do the whole thing.
There's a horseshoe pit right there.
Right outside.
Oh, yeah.
Can we play a game right afterwards?
Well, if I had the time, I'd take you on. We just finished our Sweet 16 tournament.
You did?
Yeah, we have a spring tournament in the White House. This one was won by what they call the house men. These are the guys that move the furniture around. They just whipped us good. Last year, the steward on Air Force One came down here and cleaned us all out in the 32-member tournament in the fall. But everybody that works around here gets a chance to enter a team. The chefs have a team, the communicators, the military aides, the Secret Service, and it's great. I enter with my son Marvin. We always seed ourselves, hopefully to get by the first round, but someday we'll prevail. So far we've been whipped bad.
If you look at it in your job as president, and with all the exercising you do, as I say, the jogging and things like that, do you look at more as something that is competitive for you, or something that relieves the pressure after a long day?
The latter now, although, we had some great tennis this weekend at home, and when we were up there in our summer house there in Maine, and I play here on the White House court. But now it's more relieving pressure. Golf, I find that you concentrate on it. You keep your mind on what you're doing. And similarly for horseshoes, and similarly for skeet shooting, which I love. Same for tennis, although there it's a little more who's going to win.
Yeah, it's more.
So it's a relief. You just change of pace, and it's hard to describe it any other way. It just get your mind constant. Fishing is the same for me, incidentally. I was trout fishing out in Cheyenne with Al Simpson the other day, my great friend Senator Simpson, and it's aiming the fly at a certain place. You see a rise on the beaver pond, and then going back and trying to get the fish. And you put away the budget and the summits and all that stuff go out of your mind.
I wonder when you look at it because of the competitive nature of sport, and you look at, for instance, in baseball, which I assume is your favorite sport, there is that time after all that coaching when you step in the batter's box and you got to face that pitcher at 80, 90, 95 miles an hour. And I wonder if you can make an analogy between that and the preparation you get before you walk into that press room waiting for all those howling packs in there to go after you, and you're finally in there, you're up on that podium, you're all alone, just like you're on the batter's box.
There's a similarity because their tension builds, tension mounts, depending on how contentious the subject at hand. And you feel it like ball players feel pregame jitters and a certain nervousness before. I'm sure Nolan felt it when he goes out there, walks out to the mound. He got 50-some thousand screaming fans in Milwaukee screaming for him. And he's wondering, well, I'm not going to disappoint him. Can I do it? And so even with that kind of experience, I'm sure there's that tension. Well, the same is true when you walk into a contentious news conference, but the release is the same. The adrenaline factor, I call it, is the same. Once you've answered a question or two, you can get out there and if you know what you're talking about. It's terrible if they ask you a question where you don't, so I simply say, hey, I don't know. And I think the American people understand that. If you keep saying, I don't know, well, they'll say, hey, we got a dumb president. But there's certain subjects that a president just can't be familiar with, important though they may be. That's what you have staff for. That's what you have cabinet secretaries for. But back to your question, there's a building up feeling in politics that's very much the same as a building up feeling pre-game